Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and online viewers from around the world, thank you for joining the 2021 Smart City CTalk Online e-governance session. CTalk is the platform for practitioners and city representatives to share their values and visions. This year, our second CTalk session has brought a wide variety of smart city insights from leaders in the UK, Russia, Turkey, and Poland. Delegates from cities worldwide will engage in talks with one another to share and discuss their insights and ideas on the topic and drive the future agenda with new urban management. Joining the session today, please welcome Commissioner of Department of Information Technology, Taipei City Government, Mr. Xinke Liu. Smart City Leadership and Development Manager of Opportunity Peterborough, Mr. Trevor Gibson. Head of Division at ICT Department of the Moscow Government, Russia, Mr. Konstantin Sokolov. Head of Foreign Relations Department, Ankara Metropolitan Municipality, Turkey, Mr. Ramazan Kabasikal. Chief Specialist of Promotion and International Cooperation Department, City of Rzeszów, Poland, Mr. Wojciech Jarusz. And please welcome our moderator for today, Associate Professor of Department of Electrical Engineering, National Taiwan University, Mr. Jinting Zhou. Thank you and welcome. We will now take a virtual group photo of all delegates to capture this special moment. Delegates, please look into your camera. We're about to take a screenshot. Ready, set, smile. Next, please put up your right thumb and give us a thumbs up as we take another screenshot. Ready, set, smile. Thank you for joining the group photo shoot. And now, please let us invite our moderator for today, Mr. Jinting Zhou, Associate Professor of Department of Electrical Engineering, NTU, to kickstart the session. Mr. Zhou, the floor is yours.
Thanks for the introduction. It's my great honor to be the moderator of this great online event today. Today, we have 5 experts in smart city management to share their experience with us. Our first speaker is Dr. Liu, the CIO of Taipei City. The title of his speech today is Smart Taipei, a Key to Citizen-Centric Services Smart City. Let's welcome Dr. Liu.
Hi, I'm Simon Liu, the CIO of Taipei City. It's my honor to be here today to share with you about our experience with the Taipei's digital transformation. As the capital city of Taiwan, Taipei City comprises 270 square kilometers and is a metropolitan area boasting a population of nearly 4 million. This including residents from the nearby municipalities and commuters. Heavy urbanization has led to many problems, but the technological innovation enables us to evolve and make improvements. In recent years, Taipei has invested much effort in strengthening digital infrastructure for speeding up the digital transit of society. The concept of digital twin is one of our initiatives for driving toward a smart city. And it combines the 5G, IoT, AI, big data, and other technological trends to create a social system with high levels of digital penetrations. Such kind of offline and online merging will become the new norms for the way city operates. Over the past few years, we implemented the strategy of a city as a living lab to attract innovation and resources from the private sector partners. Under this PPP model, we are able to transform new technology application into the smart city solution that can help us and solve the urban challenges. The result from the Smart City Index 2020, published by the IMD Swiss, placed the Taipei as in the overall ranking, right behind Singapore in the Asia Pacific region. Taipei received the high marks for its infrastructure, facilities, and technological service. And what is more important for us today is finding out how to rebuild the government's public service through the digital transformation strategy, and how to create a smart government that offers the citizen-centric service based on the innovative concept of digital by default and the government as a platform. To offer the citizen-centric public service, we must start by building Taipei's citizens' digital identity system, which creates a framework of the Know Your Citizen that can be used to provide service related to citizens further down the road. Looking around the world, we notice that in the domain of the digital transformations, many countries rely on the digital ID as their key infrastructure for the setting up a variety of governmental digital services. Some of the more renowned efforts in establishing the digital ID mechanism today include Estonia's EID and Singapore's NDI. Taiwan has also been working on its new EID system over the past few years. Therefore, to allow the citizen living and working within the Taipei daily living sphere to enjoy its more convenient lifestyle, we've introduced the Taipei Pass to provide the digital service which are more personalized and localized. The system released in the end of 2020 integrates both the online and the offline service, as well as the various membership systems under the different city agencies. Taipei Pass is a key to unlock an entire city's ecosystem and connecting the citizens and with their various public services as they go about their daily life in Taipei. Not only did the Taipei Pass win the 2021 IF Design Award, the app also appeared on the winner list of the 2021 IDC Smart City and the Asia Pacific Award. The project Taipei Pass Digital Pass to the Government Mobile Service took the top honor in the category of the civic engagement. The city's government efforts helped Taipei and claimed the most award at IDC this year. From the perspective of identity management framework, the conventional approach lacks the structural integrations, where the problem is such as inconsistent data and becomes more obvious with the passing of the time. This is why Taipei Pass and builds an integrated database as ID as a service, creating a KYC infrastructure, which enables us to provide individualized service under each system in the future. And based on the unified identity framework, Taipei Pass is not only a function-based app, but also a meta portal app with an ecosystem. Citizens can easily access the various city services through the Taipei Pass. This is why many single-purpose apps will eventually converge into the ecosystem under the Taipei Pass. And let me see the framework of the Taipei Pass is based on the citizen-centric public service model. It includes the three different levels. First and foremost, digital identity is the core. We've incorporated the concept into the Taipei Pass by adjusting it to the Know Your Citizen (KYC), and then assessing digital service. We can customize and arrange the service options based on the specific user and the passport needs, and all based on the KYC. And finally, through the integration of e-payment platform, user will have the option and to pay and for over 200 kind of public service bills with the Taipei Pass, as well as choose their preferred and payment method and for completing the kind of a transaction. There are 4 major layers within the system architecture of the Taipei Pass, and the certificate registration, function consolidation, diversified devices, and the upper layer is the service application. Based on the aforementioned layers, we can combine the city service, membership perks, and the smart payment for public service onto the list of the Taipei Pass service scenario. In summary, I would like to reiterate the following. Regarding the functionality, Taipei Pass can be subdivided into the 4 major categories: card and membership integration, integrated public service, bill payments, perks, and store discount. Combining these to bring large power for maintaining soft and casual contact with our citizens and keep the door open for any possibility. So let me emphasize this, that Taipei is a living lab which remains open to global community. We welcome cities from around the world to share their ideas and solutions with us. Thanks to all of you for listening. Let's keep up the efforts in fighting against the COVID-19 through this tough period.
Thank you. Thanks for Dr. Lu's sharing with his experience in Smart City. Dr. Lu, you mentioned that Taipei's Pass was launched at the end of last year and has many different applications. With the recent crisis of domestic COVID-19 in Taiwan, I noticed that contact tracing mechanism has become a necessary measure adopted by various business and venues to control the pandemic. I would like to know what kind of roles does Taipei Pass app play to fulfill this new and important requirement?
In this tough moment of COVID-19 pandemic, contact tracing is one of the Taiwan's major pandemic prevention measures. And through the contact tracing informations, we are able to analyze cluster and crowd flows, and which become critical to cut off the chain of the transmissions. So one of the core functions of the Taipei Pass is to provide identity verifications at any landscape requiring and contact tracing registrations. And in terms of technology, the APP can support that under different environment for the scanning the site or venues QR code or be scanned by the Taipei Pass the QR code. For example, in the Taipei, and the citizens who are entering the supermarket or convenience stores, and they can use the Taipei Pass to scan the QR code posted at the entrance, and to complete the contact tracing the registrations. The most worth to remind is that Taipei proposed an integrated QR code system, which is compatible with the central government's 1922 the contact tracing the QR code. The use of the Taipei Pass is a better solution compared to the Google Phone or or put on the paper, and it ensures the better data accuracy and safer the data storage and stronger the personal information protection under the supervising of the Taipei City government.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I'm not a Taipei citizen, but I also download Taipei Pass, and I am very happy to use Taipei Pass, and I hope this, with the help of this Taipei Pass, along with other measures, we can end this lockdown of the COVID-19 in Taiwan and also in Taipei. Our next speaker is Mr. Gibson. Mr. Gibson is currently Smart City Leadership and Department Manager with Opportunity Peterborough, and was part of the Peterborough's team, which successfully bid to be one of the UK's 4 future city demonstrator. Prior to his smart city experience, Mr. Gibson spent almost 30 years in the public sector. The title of his speech is Peterborough's Approach to Industrial 4.0. Let's welcome Mr. Gibson.
Thank you very much for opportunity to speak at the CTalk today. I've visited Taipei many times for the face-to-face events over the years, so it's nice to be part of the virtual version out of necessity this year, of course. I want to talk about Peterborough's approach to helping businesses adopt new technologies, because as the lead in the economic development team in Peterborough, we see the adoption of new technologies as a real boost for the city and for businesses recovering from COVID-19. I'll say a little bit more about that shortly. Next slide, please. Peterborough, for those that haven't visited the UK, is sort of east of England, Midlands, not far from London and Cambridge, places you'll have heard of. Next slide, please. It's a small to medium-sized city in UK terms, population of around 200,000. We have a significant regeneration project underway at the moment. We have super fast broadband as part of our smart city rollout, and also very focused on sustainability through our circular city initiative and carbon reduction plans. Again, I'll refer to those later. Next slide, please. Peterborough, like all cities around the world, faces a range of common challenges. A growing population, in the UK's case, an aging, or Peterborough's case, an aging population. We have resource restrictions. We have healthcare challenges in terms of capacity, particularly throughout the COVID pandemic. And we have a number of overarching environmental challenges shared by us all, including, of course, climate change. Next slide, please. Just a little bit about COVID, and some of this is stating the obvious in many ways, but what we've seen over the past year is a shock to our systems, social, economic, but there have been some environmental benefits with the reduced need to travel, people shopping more locally, and so on. But what we have seen, and I think this is perhaps learning from the COVID experience, and I'm sure is shared across the world, is just the sheer speed at which changes, electronic and digital transformations have happened almost overnight. The fact that we're able to run conferences now through this sort of media is one example of that. And we need to capture that learning, that ability to move quickly as part of rebuilding our economy to be more sustainable and resilient. Next slide, please. In my view, again, many of you will be fully aware of this, but smart cities embrace Industry 4.0 technologies, not just through service delivery, but in the way that they rebuild the economy and support their businesses. They learn from best practice inside and outside the city. And for many years, as the opening speaker said, we have been part of the cohort of cities joining in Taipei for the annual Smart City Expo. You harness in a smart city existing networks and communities to accelerate the achievement of vision. So next slide, please. As was also mentioned earlier, Peterborough became one of the future city demonstrators for the UK. And we launched our Peterborough DNA project in 2013, led by Opportunity Peterborough, the economic development company, and Peterborough City Council. Through that work, we generated new business opportunities and also explored new technologies and digital interventions to underpin that work, often learning from cities like Taipei around the world. Next slide, please. I don't need to dwell on this slide because all of you will be very aware of Industry 4.0 and what that means. But broadly, it's the adoption of a range of emerging technologies, and the list grows almost weekly nowadays with new developments and insights and innovations. So that's really what our focus has been in Peterborough, is to how we help businesses adopt Industry 4.0 approaches to improve their economic resilience and their sustainability. Next slide, please. One of the key projects we have underway at the moment is our Grow-In project, which is aims to build strong competencies and tools to help small SMEs embrace and embed new technologies. The approach establishes a strong partnership which pools knowledge, excuse me, which pools knowledge on the manufacturing industry across the city. Next slide, please. In the early research for the project, we identified a range of common challenges facing businesses as to why they were finding it difficult to adopt new technologies to develop their companies. These range from insufficient business support, a lack of finance, and lack of tools to help them develop and identify the new technologies that they needed. But the common opportunities we identified were increased productivity, competitiveness, and growth, something which we see as vital for the city of Peterborough. Next slide, please. As part of the project, we've developed a whole range of tools. They're listed on the left-hand side of the screen there, each of which has been tested with businesses to help them to basically refine them so that they become a useful resource once they're finally published at the end of this year. I've just highlighted one there, number 3, benefits identification and tracking tool, which again helps businesses to look at the benefits, but also track them through the business and looks at the benefits to the company, captures those, identifies the spare capacity within the business arising from the adoption of the new technologies, and ultimately it supports the operational decision making reallocation of resources through a robust business case. So we've got a whole range of those tools now being developed and tested in partners with cities across Europe. Next slide, please. We also have developed in the city what we've called our Smart Manufacturing Alliance, which has 6 particular strands to it. Talented City, looking at skills. Startup City, helping businesses turn from entrepreneurs into small businesses. Growing City, so looking at how businesses can help the city grow its economy and its skills base. International City, basically making connections with cities like Taipei around the world to learn from best practice. Innovation city, really looking at that living lab that's already been mentioned, a city where people can test out new ideas and innovate, and a productive city, one that is able to produce as efficiently as possible and as environmentally sustainably as possible. Next slide, please. The initiative takes participating businesses on a journey from an initial diagnostic tool, which will be online, through to networking and events to build up that mentoring and sharing of knowledge, training to build the skills that businesses need to develop and improve, and then more specific input around expertise and consultancy to help businesses with specific challenges in their particular area of the market. Next slide, please. So just for my closing remarks, I think Industry 4.0 is a clear component of a modern city. It's absolutely critical to sustainable economic development. And I stress the word sustainable there, because if we're using new technologies to develop productivity, to provide jobs and raise the economy of a city, it has to be done in a sustainable way. We can't simply have economic development without looking very carefully at the environmental impact of those developments. The environmental benefits should therefore be part of the assessment methodology for any new technologies. Businesses require support to adopt those new technologies, to overcome resistance, to address the challenges that they themselves have identified. And sharing that experience locally, nationally, internationally is essential to accelerate the progress of our city and our economy. And I think the learning, as I mentioned right at the outset, the learning from COVID can help us in this post-COVID phase support the development of a more efficient, resilient and sustainable economy, both for Peterborough and across the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. It's always nice to have Mr. Gibson in this annual event, either virtually or face-to-face. I think it's very important to incorporate Industrial 4.0 solution to achieve resilient business for SME, which is suffer a lot given the COVID-19 pandemic. I think maybe Mr. Gibson can talk more about Peterborough DNA and Growing 4.0 projects later in the plenary session. And our next speaker is Mr. Sokolov. Mr. Sokolov has more than 20 years career at Russia and international companies with focus on business development and sustainability in technology, equipment, engineering, architectural design, and urban planning. Since spring 2020, he has been working with international projects at the ICT department of the Moscow government. The title of his speech today is Moscow ICO Certification for Sustainable and Smart City Experience and Perspectives. Let's welcome Mr. Sokolov.
Thank you. Dear speakers, the viewers of the conference, I'm very glad to welcome you at this very interesting event, and I will try to briefly share our experience in the very interesting and useful project that we carried out since last year. And I would like to start with the words that over the past 10 years, a key element of Moscow's approach to building a sustainable smart city has been development and implementation of digital technologies in all areas of urban governance and urban infrastructure. As a result, Moscow has become one of the world's leaders in terms of digitalization and has formed a single digital ecosystem in which residents online interact with the city authorities, receive majority of city services, and are able to be involved in city development issues through engagement and online voting platforms. Technologies underlie almost all urban processes in Moscow, from the urban economy and the social sphere to the city management issues, And the growth rate of the IT industry in Moscow exceeds the average for the development of the urban. Sorry, but it seems that the video signal is not very good, is it?
Yeah, it's a little
You
bit
can hear
breaking
me.
up. Yeah, we can hear you. It's a little bit breaking up, but I think it should be okay. Please continue. Sorry for the quality of the internet.
Okay. Okay, no problem. At the same time, the main goal of all the innovations being introduced in Moscow was and remain the increased safety and quality of life of the citizens. But as far as the introduction of the technologies is not a goal itself, it is important to understand how we assess and measure the success of urban digital strategies when it comes to their impact on sustainability of urban development and quality of services the city population is receiving. There are numerous discussions about how it should be done, how it should be measured, and we have recently had a special, I think even 3 sessions within the Moscow Smart Cities Forum that we conducted in the end of May have been from different angles dedicated to the question of measuring the impact of the introduction of technologies into the city life. And I think that it's obvious that the data and indicators to be used for this measurement have to be clearly formulated, quantitative, globally comparable, relevant to the current stage of the city development, and could be independently verified. And the same approach is, by the way, offered by the World Council on City Data, WCCD, and the ISO 37120 standards framework for sustainable cities and communities. We have started adoption of those standards in our city for something like a year ago. As a result, this year, Moscow was certified according to 2 standards of this group at once. We have got the certificate for the standard 37120 2018, Sustainable Cities and Communities, Indicators for Urban Services and Quality of Life, and 37122 2019, Sustainable Cities and Communities, Smart Cities. The working group of our department organized and coordinated the collection and analysis of data and interaction with the certifying authorities. Briefly about the standards. The ISO 37120 2018 is a standard which is the first and the central international standard that establishes main indicators for assessing urban services and quality of life. And it is a key standard in the framework of the ISO group of standards for sustainable cities. According to the description, the standard applies to any city, municipality, or local government that undertakes to measure its performance in comparable and verifiable manner, regardless the size and location. The requirements of the standards were first published in 2014, and then due to very flexible and interactive framework of the standard, the cities who participated made great influence on its changes due to the actual status and the problems that have arisen during the recent years. And the standard have been revised in 2018. Today, it is more than 100 cities from 35 countries of the world that have implemented the standard or are at the stage of its implementation. And among the cities who adopted the standard are London, Dubai, Shanghai, Barcelona, Amsterdam, Toronto, Los Angeles, Sydney, Oslo, Helsinki, to name more. In total, the ISO 37120 2018 includes 105 indicators grouped by 19 sectors of urban infrastructure and urban management, including governance, transport, healthcare, housing, and so on. When it comes to the second standard, the ISO 37122, indicators for smart cities, it is one of the newest standards in the named group of standards, and it was developed only 2 years ago in 2019 by the WCCD that I mentioned. And about 38 countries with their experts and specialists in urban development participated in the development of the standard. The aim of the standard is to create a comprehensive set of globally standardized indicators with a focus on supporting smart city initiatives. Using the metrics of the standard, cities around the world can measure their development as a smart city and determine the best solutions, including technological ones, but not only the technological ones, for improvement of delivery of services to citizens. Moscow and 9 other cities of the world became pioneer cities, and they're the first to be certified according to the standard. Today, according to WCCD, Moscow is kind of a very unique case because we have managed to at once get 2 certificates of this ISO city development standards. And to the difference from the 37120, but as I said, technologies are important, but it's also important that you find the best solution. Impact is most important than the availability of the technologies. And but still, about 40% of the indicators in 37112 are connected to the use of ICT in different spheres of the city infrastructure. Collection and analysis of this data has double audit. First, WCC experts are auditing all the data and indicators, and then an independent expertise is checking everything. So only after the second stage, after the independent expertise, the certification could be conducted. And it's very important to underline that the expert examination is not only looking at the correctness and relevance of the indicators, but also a methodology for their calculation, including how the metadata is calculated. So it has given us a lot of feedback by the way that we use in our current work. So, but what has this certification given to Moscow? First of all, I would like to say that the ISO 37120 certification system is linked and well harmonized with all the 17 SDGs for the period up to 2030, and also reflect the Paris Global Climate Agenda, which gives us a very good tool in checking the compliance of the achievement of the SDG goals and the climate agenda. So to make it, well, globally understandable. Secondly, as soon as the clearly formulated and understandably quantitable and relevant data which we rely on allow that we can localize this SDG in the urban sustainable development strategy and analyze and monitor the progress along with this path. The third very important thing is that we can objectively assess the level of urban infrastructure development in comparison with other mega cities. For example, we discovered through looking at the indicators of other cities that Moscow appeared among the top cities in the use of the internet and mobile communications, availability of patient beds and doctors of general practice per capita, use of public transport, and careful water consumption. Then, speaking about the cooperation, this certification gave us a very good tool in while adopting the certification ISO certification systems for the city further on in Russia, as soon as Moscow is the biggest city and maybe the most economically developed. So now we have a tool to help other cities in Russia to implement the certificates on the local level and to help them to track their progress on the sustainable development path. I can also name that we have discussed with WCC the possibility of opening a data hub. They have this practice in Dubai and Toronto in order to boost and support the development and adaptation of the ISO certification logics in Russia. This is about all that I wanted to say. Sorry for the poor picture, but I hope that what I said was clearly heard. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. The timing is perfect. Russia, no doubt, is one of the most successful example in digitalization in the world. Indeed, how to assess the solution and its impact on the citizen is actually very important. And I never thought of this issue, but now I realize that we should measure those solutions with quantitative analysis for comparison. And this is very important. And this ISO certification is a very interesting and effective solution for that. Thanks again. Our next speaker is Mr. Cabasico. Mr. Cabasico specializes in civil engineering, especially in soil consolidation and ground settlement. He has more than 20 years in public sectors, and one of his achievements is to propose to Mayor of Ankara to create the Black Sea Capital Association. The title of his speech today is Digitalization and Technology, plus initiative and aids during COVID-19. Let's welcome Mr. Cabasico.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, everybody. Greeting from historical city of Ankara, and I wish you all the best and success in this conference. First of all, I would like to thank the city of Taipei for organizing such an important event. Taipei is like my second home because I studied in Fushingan College for almost 1 month. Coming to our presentation, it is a chance. Next, please. Next. It is essential that urban infrastructure and services are built, organized, and managed efficiently by combining city management with smart application. I am going to divide my presentation in 2 parts. In the very first part, I am going to mention about some best practices of Ankara Metropolitan Municipality about digitalization and smart application. In the second part, our perspective and strategies for next level of smart city application. Next, please. The very first example that Mayor of Ankara is very proud of is Başkent Mobile Smart City application. It's a mobile application. Başkent means in Turkish capital city mobile application. In this application, the people of Ankara can find many useful services on their mobile phone, such as pharmacies on duty, ongoing roadworks, live traffic maps and bus location, online transaction, and many other information. But very two important button is innovative and very special, I think. One of them is purple button. The reason of this purple button is especially interface designed for the elimination of violence against women. If a woman feel themselves in a danger or risk of attack or anything, they can push it and immediately our security help them. The second button is stay at home, especially during this COVID-19. Many people have to stay at home, like students. So we provide many services to them, like online courses and trainings, educational cartoons and movies, art activities, etc. to our residents who have to stay during the pandemic at home. Next, please. Like many cities in the world, one of the main area that we use the smart cities applications public transportation, because transportation is a big problem for all metropolitan cities over 5 million like this. And with this mobile application, we can see the bus stop, how many minutes the bus is expected to come, how many passengers waiting, in which stops there are more passengers, etc. And thanks to this mobile application, the city of Ankara awarded with the e-governance award by the BIGO. Next, please. Digitalization, like smart stop is smart wall application, will provide service to the residents of the city in the following areas. Public alarm system, geographical information system, digital newspaper, audience response to advertising, citizen notification system, electronic voting, public safety practices, citizens-friendly interactive system, mobile application integration, citizen cloud-based management, instant and central video streaming. Next, please. And the second digital application or smart city application of our cities is clean energies. One of the biggest problems for Ankara, we have received many immigrants from rural areas to the city center. In order to keep people in their rural areas and develop, help them for energy, like we try to build all roof of the village houses with the solar energy panels, and they have a hot water and heating system free of charge and less energy payment for their production. So they keep in the village, not come to the cities and don't bring overburden to the cities and increase their efficiency in agriculture. Next, please. During the pandemic, especially, internet and mobile application was very important for rural areas. So the city of Ankara provides 10 gigabytes of internet support to families in need that get social services. So they can attend distance learning, online education, and 914 villages in the rural areas provided with the free internet base by the municipality of Ankara during the last year. And a student who in need of a tablet, etc., is provided with this mobile application. And another good practice of smart city application, there are, especially during this COVID-19, the needy families number increased, unfortunately. Many people lost their job, etc. And of course, municipalities provide food and other help to the families. But thanks to technology, we start a campaign that Ankara is one heart. The rich people who want to donate to needy people, we call them the giving hand and receiving hand never seen each other. So online, the rich people who want to donate, for example, needy people that couldn't pay their water bill, they just seen the water, the number. I mean, they don't see the name because we don't want to embarrass the people. So the needy people who couldn't pay their water bill, only their number, register number, and how much they didn't pay can be seen. So the volunteer who want to pay their bill, they can pay online. And if you want to donate food package, for example, needy people, etc., all these things, kind of things, done on the online. And as I said, the donated people and the receiving people never know each other. They couldn't see each other. It was 3-dimension: cash money, donation, food aid, and paying off their water and transportation bill. Employees of Ankara Metropolitan Municipality have contributed to this project by more than $300,000. The campaign is still in progress, and as of now, the total paid provided to the needy people is over $5 million. As I say in the second part of my presentation, the smart cities application, more or less like e-services, e-payment, or web pages, service portals, more or less are same in all cities in different level. The next, our perspectives about the smart application is there are two main areas we want to develop. And if any of these cities has this project, we would like to share their experiences. The very first one, the global climate change is affecting the country of Turkey so much. During last 10 years, the climate almost changed. Like in Turkey, there are 4 seasons, and the winter is starting from November, December, January, February is supposed to be snowy, and then March, May, April is very rainfall, and all the agricultural sector produce their agricultural product accordingly. But during the almost last 10 years, instead of March and April, the rainfall we receive in May and even June. Now we are in the 23rd of June, and from the very first day of the June is raining in Ankara still today. And normally June and July and August supposed to be very dry and warm, so the agriculture sector, they harvested their products. But now due to the rainfall, they couldn't harvest their product. So we are looking for a smart application that we can use for disaster presentation and also this impact analysis of climate change on the agriculture sector. Because all the production methods should be changed, the product should be changed, and we have to train all the villager people from rural areas to adopt new climate change. So this is one of the sector we are looking to learn and introduce to our smart city application. And the second things that next please. As I say, smart city application we already developed. The next one, we have a city council. They are decision makers, and like many other cities, the parties who have a majority in the city council, they may act sometimes ideologically. We want to introduce a system that if mayor or city council, any councillor, suggests new decision or new decision is going to be taken, what will be the good side or benefit or negative side of this new decision? So if somebody approve or reject any suggestion from the mayors or councillor, they should show the positive and negative side of this new decision. So it helps the decision makers to decide is easier. Otherwise, no matter how good order is done by somebody, if the majority is in another, I mean like the opposition, if you are opposition and make very nice suggestion, but the majority people can reject this only for political reason. If we can show on the screen, yes, this is the good side of this is the positive side. After this decision, we are going to get this positive way, like 80% is very positive, but there are 20% negative side of this, the impact of this new decision. So the politician cannot only reject or approve for political reason, but on the basis of scientific and research impact of this analysis. So we are looking for a project for the city councillor or decision makers when to make the impact analysis of any new decision or new application by the municipality council or by decision maker. So if I know in UK, in London, when I attend a conference, I seen such a project already by London, that there is such kind of project for city councillor, but we are still looking for more advanced project. Thank you very much, and it's my great pleasure to be among you. And if there is any question, I will be glad to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kabasako. I noticed that there are a lot of similarities between Ankara and Taipei. We just experienced the worst drought of the 15 years, and now we have the monsoon rain, and it's flooding everywhere, actually. So it would be very nice to have innovative solution for disaster prevention or even prediction, like what Ankara is doing right now. And also, Taipei or Taiwan is basically locked down, and all of my kids stay at home. So I hope I can download that Basket mobile app so that my kids can watch the cartoon and have online education so that I can focus on my work and reciting this event. So we definitely can learn a lot from all of the cities, including Ankara, Peterborough, and Russia, of course. Okay, thanks for the great presentation. And our last speaker is Mr. Yarosh. Mr. Yarosh has been the chief specialist in the Promotion and International Cooperation Department of City Office of Rzeszów. He is also the CEO of Generation X, an organization which is established to promote sustainable development. I also learned that Mr. Yalos can speak 4 different languages, which is very crucial to promote international cooperation. And the title of his speech today is Quality of Life and Sustainability in Smart Cities. Let's welcome Mr. Yarosh.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the invitation and possibility to be here with such a great company. It is my first time to be here in this speech and this conference. But I hope soon with all the smart solutions we are implementing in our city, we will be able to meet in person very soon. So today in my brief presentation, I would like to present cross-sectional view for tools and activities we implemented in our city to improve quality of life and make the city more sustainable. Can you put my presentation, because I can't see it?
Nicole, can you display Mr. Yarosh's presentation slides?
Yes,
Because I cannot see the...
Yes, we are currently pulling up your slides. Please hold for a moment because apparently we have some technical difficulties on our computer. It should be resolved very soon. Please stay with us.
Yes.
No problem.
COVID-19 presented us that we are very flexible in changing the way of conferences, but I think there's a lot of things to do in the future.
Yes, there are a lot of new opportunities as well.
Yes. But I think, as was mentioned before, we made great step forward for the last a couple of months. Conferences this big like this one was almost impossible to think about being conducted online, and now it's so great opportunity to see with so noble persons using internet connection.
Yes, and we don't have to travel.
Yeah, but it's not a plus for me. I would prefer to go there and visit the city and meet the person face to face and talk. It's much more efficient way of conversation.
That's true. Believe it or not, I already stayed in Taiwan for almost 18 months. That's unbelievable. I used to fly to different countries every month. Yes, indeed. It's like a punishment. Yeah. And we are just experienced what all of you guys have experienced last year. Now it's us right now. So we can learn a lot from all of you, and you already have very good solutions. Okay, I think the presentation slides is back.
Okay, if you could switch to another slide. The next one, yeah. Okay, brief presentation about the city, because the city is not so famous as Moscow or Ankara yet. So to present where we are, previous one. So we are in the southeast of Poland, close to the Ukraine and Slovakian border. We are transition city between east and west, so give us a lot of opportunities. And the area of the city is 129 square kilometers, about 220,000 citizens. Major branch is aviation industry, IT, plastic processing and shared service. And the city is quite modern and well developed, with a rate of unemployment 5%, what gives us a lot of opportunities with the young people which are coming here. But also it gives us problems which are facing now. If you could put the presentation again.
Technical issues again. Nico?
Technical issues. So maybe I will speak without presentation yet, and then
I think that works
jump
too.
to certain slides.
Yes. Yeah.
So the major area of a smart city which we're implementing in Rzeszów, we divided in a few different areas. The major one, what was in the main focus of our city, was the mobility and the public transport, because for the last decade we switched to very modern and very efficient public transport, with over 1 billion euro invested in this area from 2007. What a city with this size is a big amount of money, but this allowed us to provide citizens with a high quality public transport, which is very important because number of citizens growing, the city is growing, and without efficient public transport, it will be impossible to live here and grow, because people would move out instead of moving in. So the public transport was the biggest concern. The second one is IT. The city of Rzeszów is concerned to be a capital of innovation with, okay, you can switch to the next slide. The capital of innovation with almost 60,000 of students, which majority of it is a technical studies. One of it is IT. And we are lucky to have one of the biggest Polish and also European IT company, which is based here in Rzeszów, which also gives us a lot of opportunity to grow as an IT center of Poland, or at least this part of Poland. The next one is energy, with what mentioned in Ankara, providing public buildings with, for example, photovoltaic, to be more energy efficient and to cut the cost of maintaining the public buildings. Education, governance, architecture, and quality of life. I'm not going to go into detail. So please, next slide, if you can. On public transport, as I said, 1 billion euro invested from 2007 gave us opportunity to implement very modern public transport as a whole body, because it was implementing control system of traffic, control system of public transport, electric buses and new CNG buses, with facility like bus shelters, which are heated in winter and air conditioned in summer, which is very important because we experience very high differences in temperature, and it gives this high quality of public transport for citizens. The next one, please. This is the bus station for long distance, and also another example of priority for investment, public investment, which are focused on innovative solution. This is the energy efficient, sufficient facility, which gives a photovoltaic for energy supplies, heat pumps for heat supplies, and all kind of ICT tools to provide services of high quality to passengers, which facilitate them to travel not only within the city but also outside the city. The next, please. The system is still, because the system was implemented a couple of years ago, but the system is still open, so it can be adjusted, and it's still developing, evolving. We are adding another services and other functionalities. For example, mass transit transaction system, which gives possibility to passengers to choose the most efficient, the cheapest way of traveling, depending on the 24 hours of travels, of his travels, the passenger travels, and the way of travel he wants to choose. This is the one of the most modern system in Europe implemented in our city. Next one. As I said, it will be cross-sectional presentation for the project and implemented in the city, because I would like to present not only big infrastructure projects, but also the other phase of transition to the smart city. One of this project is to implementing fourth generation city bike system with the mopeds, bikes, electric bikes, classic bikes, and scooters, which gives opportunity to citizens not only choose public transport over the car, but also give it a more efficient way of traveling, because traffic congestions happens everywhere, and that bike is the solution which let passengers to travel more efficient almost half of a year, because if somebody doesn't want to travel in the winter, at least 6 months has opportunity to use public transport, also using bikes and mopeds, which gives them an opportunity to travel more efficiently. The next one. Not only tech investment, but it resulted that something like our external municipal service points also was a solution which gives us very big improvement in quality of serving in the city office, the people, the citizens in the city office, because instead of they have opportunity to make all necessary administration stuff. They don't need to come to the city center. We have this 4 external city serving point in this 4 shopping malls, which first of all, they are open at much longer times than the usual regular city office. So during the shoppings, residents can come and fix all administrative stuff they want to fix in the city. And this is also the phase of transition to more open city, more adjust for needs of the residents. The next, please. This is also one of the small solutions that we implemented, but it's also resulted to be a very efficient way of improving quality of service in the city. This is one direct number where citizens can call and fix almost all issues related to the city administration. It resulted that almost 80% of calls to this number is finished just right at the first call. So it's also preventing of people traveling from their homes into the city center, occupying the streets. It's more efficient, more quick service for the citizens. The next one. CTalk is the project we are joining right now. It is the project of IBM, which with a local partner is implementing the new way of learning the youngest people of ICT technologies to prepare them for the new job market, because we are facing now, I think not only Poland, but in the whole world, problems with educated and qualified technology ICT workers. So preparing the youngest one is the very big priority, to prepare it for even more even bigger requirements in the job market for ICT workers. So this is the one of solution we implementing in the city, so providing the high quality education system for young people, giving them opportunity to learn technical skills. The next one, please. This is the one, it was the idea we implemented in 2019. This is this project with Microsoft 365. It seems to very obvious that everybody has a possibility to use different kind of ICT tools, but we came up with the idea to provide every school and every student of the city with the access to a Microsoft 365 platform. And it was in 2019, and then when the COVID-19 broke out, it resulted that the schools in Rzeszów were one of the best prepared for remote education, which gave us this kind of we were calm that the students will cope with this difficult situation, because they were used to using these ICT tools. Of course, teacher also received special workshops how to use these tools, that they were also prepared prior to the critical situation with COVID-19. And the next one, please. The open data we are implementing. This is one of the biggest projects now in the city, implementing the open data portal with provide everybody from outside with a lot of data we gather it in the city that can be used to improve that we have. But this is also the moment that they find out that's not only technical infrastructure we need to provide for the people, but also we need to make a shift in the city administration how to prepare data, how to use the data, because not only technical obstacles were very important to implementing open data, but also providing especially administration staff with this knowledge how this data can help them work more efficiently. So how the data should be prepared at the very beginning. Okay, next one. Okay, Urban Lab. This is a solution that was implemented in the city as a pilot project together with Gdynia city from Poland. This is the physical space which gives opportunity to citizens to meet with business, administration, NGOs, university, and discuss and create different kind of solution to address any kind of problems presented in the city. Because used to be it was like that the administration was closed in the offices and the citizen had no feeling that they have impact on what is going on in the city. But this kind of platform, this kind of places let us involve citizens into creation of the city, because sometimes smart city require to implement very drastic tools and drastic measures, and if citizens are not aware or not involved in this process, very resistant this changes. But when we give them platform to meet with the representatives of administration to find out something about solution which will be implemented, they are more eager to be involved in this change in the city. That this is also important, not only technical tools being implemented in the city as a smart city, but also to prepare citizens that this shift in the mentality, also for citizens that they are ready for this change. Please. This is one of the tools we used. For example, first of all, we use open data we prepared in the city, and we make this open calls for IT software developers, or depends on the kind of the project, that they can get together and solve some problems from the city using ICT tools. For example, for 24 hours, they meet each other and create some tools using software, for example, for the problems find out by the citizens. For example, it was the EduHack, which is taking place right now. This is mapping all educational institutions and facilities that the citizens will have access to every kind of information regarding the public education sector. The other project, it was creation of interactive map of investment areas to create the tool that we as a city workers can use at the meeting with potential investor in the city, that we have this kind of small, efficient way of presenting every kind of facilities or investment area they can use to establish their businesses. Next, please. And this is one of the tools that we use for the Urban Lab. We also use for involving young citizens. This one was a project where they were creating spaces for bees in the city using Minecraft, so tool very well known among young children. So we were trying to use new technology to involve young citizens to also feel that they are part of something bigger and they can have voices. The next one. This is the solution what we implemented last year. This is the bumblebee. This is an apiary for bees placed on the roof of the city mall, shopping mall, because we are facing in the cities extinction of pollinating insects, which is very dangerous for the future of I think entire planet, that we are trying to prevent it. This is one of the tools. We joined the Bee Friendly commune, which is created now, and trying to make this kind of small project prevent this extinction of pollinating insects using this kind of tool. The next one, please. This is also one of the section of Urban Lab, which is implemented, that we give this open calls for citizens, and they can give us ideas of what can be done in the city to improve quality of life. And also from our perspective is also giving the citizens this feeling of being involved in creation of the city space. For example, a bumblebee apiary, which was created, a multimedia bench, which is also one of the element of small architecture in the city, which is idea of one of citizens group, ecological anti-smoke mural. We, for the couple of years now, we've been covering the buildings, big empty walls of buildings with mural. And this idea was to create ecological anti-smoke mural, which also not only make the building more beautiful, but also purify air from carbon dioxide and dust. This was idea also from one of the citizens group. Next one, please. And this is the last slide. It's also presenting some projects we implemented in Urban Lab. It is all they are also ideas of citizens. This is a community garden. This is idea came from the public schools, from the younger students, and not only the idea won, but also this garden will be placed in the school which won the competition. And it's also one of the tools to involving young citizens and giving this idea they need to take care of a public space together with others. We also have boxes for swifts and hedgehogs. They are species which eliminates mosquitoes, which is also a big problem for the cities, especially when there's open water in the cities. So this is one of the tools to prevent this problem with mosquitoes in the city. Next, please. So I'm not going to, because I'm going short with time, so I'm not going to go into these details in all activities we are undertaking in Urban Lab, but also it's this kind of my presentation has had to go to present that we are trying to implement big infrastructure projects, but also we are focusing on the small one, the soft one that involves citizens into creation of a smart city of the future. The next one. So thank you very much. I hope this presentation was interesting for you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for sharing your experience in modernization of transport and IT infrastructure in Rzeszów. I'm very surprised by the scale of the investment in cities like Rzeszów, especially you mentioned that Rzeszów is not among the largest city in Poland, but there are so many different applications regarding smart cities over there. I went to Poznan a few times before the COVID-19. Very friendly people. I would love to visit Rzeszów next time. Great. I think we finished. I'm sorry, Nicole, I cannot hear the voice from Mr. Yarosh. That's okay, never mind. I think that's the end of our individual presentation. Thanks again. I really learned a lot, and I believe all of the participants and also of our guest speakers also learn from each other. And I believe our next session is our plenary session. And what we would like to do is I have a couple questions, and I would like to ask opinions or experience from all of our honor speakers. And I prefer not to call the names. So if you have any things that you would like to share, just raise your hand or just voice out, and I will give the floor to you. And the first question that I would like to ask is, from all of your presentation today, public and private partnership is an important strategy in developing smart cities. For example, Mr. Yarosh mentioned IBM, Fujitsu, and Samsung in PTech model, and also Microsoft for smart education. So the participation of those private companies is a key component to the success of a smart city. So could any of you share more of your successful story in the past or any ongoing project with us? Although I say I don't want to call the name, maybe Mr. Yarosh, you can start because you mentioned so many private partners in all sorts of your projects.
Well, I think first of all we need to focus. We need to be closer with the big tech companies if you want to transit to smart city, because public administration will never be as efficient and as flexible as a private sector. So the cooperation between private sector and administration needs to be really close, because private sector is always more flexible to react on the situation changing dramatically. But the other the other point of the side of the coin is, of course, administration needs to follow the rules, and it's also very big resistance from the administration part to create this kind of big to make it very quick, because we need to follow the rules, and sometimes rules are very strict if it's about cooperation between public sector and private sector. So this is flexibility of the big tech company from one side, and the administration rules that we need to follow on the other side. So, but we are very eager to invite big companies to our city and provide all necessary help which we can provide to implement projects like Peterborough or Microsoft 365, all the stuff like Samsung, which now is present in the Technical University. 3 years ago, Samsung opened an incubator for ICT companies, for young ICT companies. We also provide help to establish this kind of facility.
Thank you. As a follow-up question, have you had any experience working with small startup in this project? The reason I ask is because although I am a professor in National Taiwan University, I am also a CEO of a tech startup. Sometimes we have great ideas, but we are not very rich in terms of resources. So when we would like to work with city governments, the pace is a little bit slower than the pace of a startup. And we would like to see things quickly be done, execute, and maybe have some returns, as a small startup. Maybe you would like to share some of your experience when working with a small startup.
We provide with hackathons, for example, because this is the most recent example we start implementing in the city. This is the open calls for all groups, and sometimes small startups which are at the phase of creation undertake this kind of open calls to provide this tool for us. But the truth is that startups expect investors and a quite big amount of money to grow, and the city is not able to provide this kind of money for private sector, which startups really are. So we can cooperate, we can provide some tools to, for example, Urban Lab is also the space where a startup meets to acquire some knowledge from for example, IT tech company which are in the city, and we provide this kind of possibility to meet them together. We provide this workshops for young entrepreneurs that they can get some knowledge how to grow or how to establish company or how to grow the company. But as a part of investor, we cannot be part of as administration. That's why we can cooperate. We can give the field to grow for smart companies. For example, now we starting the project with Barnsley from England. They have this Dna DMC, which is a very nice facility to grow a startup environment. So not only giving the money for young startups, but providing all infrastructure, providing all knowledge, and everything like this, so we can be like around the startups to giving them opportunity in the city, because city is the place where they live. And for example, give them our knowledge, give them possible space, give them some tools, meet them with people we know, and then keep our finger crossed that they grow and receive some investment from the outside market.
Yes, yeah, the last part is very important, to survive and to grow as a startup. Thank you. Thanks for your great experience. Anyone else? Maybe Mr. Gibson? Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I was just going to reiterate what I mentioned in my presentation. But firstly, I guess our best example of a public-private partnership in the smart city arena has been the fact that we worked with a company called City Fibre, who are, I believe, UK based primarily, in a partnership that allowed them access to our streets. And they were able to install super fast optical fibres throughout the city at no cost to the council, and the local authority gets a small amount of money in return for each connection to that internet by a business or a householder. So there's a symbiotic relationship between the private and public sector. And just to reiterate what was said earlier, I think providing a whole range of support for SMEs, small businesses, and entrepreneurs is the key to economic recovery from the COVID.
Thank you. Yes. We also worked, now I'm wearing another hat as an entrepreneur. We also worked with Taipei city government. And they, as you say, they provide an open arena for us to try our solution and to polish our solution. So I think those kind of opportunities, the private public sector cooperation, is very important to both of the city and to the startup. And I'm very happy to see this is happening worldwide. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Anyone else? Mr. Kabasako, do you have anything you would like to share with us?
We are so sorry. Mr. Kabasakal had to leave because he had another meeting with the mayor's office, in the mayor's office. And then my name is Halime. I am working in the Foreign Relations Department as a director of EU relations. Then I am just listening. Maybe we can send our experiences in a written document later.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for sitting there.
About that.
No problem. No problem.
I am listening and taking notes. Okay.
No problem. No problem. Take it easy. Just like to share. Like to ask all of the participants and the speakers to share their experience. Anyone else? If not, maybe I will move to the second. Yes, Mr. Sokolov. Yes,
once again, sorry if the video is not perfect. I don't know why. I just wanted to add that we have a vast infrastructure for involvement in all sorts of the innovation projects for all stakeholders. We have two big platforms, iMoscow, which is a kind of online innovation infrastructure and ecosystem platform, allowing doing a lot of different things. you can visit the platform and see the possibilities. The same story is about the Invest Moscow platform that is offering vast scope of possibilities for by the way PPPs to join all sorts of projects within the city infrastructure. Maybe an interesting example is that we are having a platform called Online Moscow Electronic School. It was that we have mentioned today the COVID stories and the result of 10 years of development of digital infrastructure in Moscow allowed to go through this COVID problems right smoothly. And by the way, the switch to the online education was possible due to this Moscow Electronic School. So the structure of this platform is allowing any external developer to join this platform and to develop the applications for it. And there is an infrastructure and system of interaction of developers with the platform and assessing their solutions and putting them into function for those who enjoy and use this platform. This is just I don't have particular examples. I know that there are huge amount of those, but again, I say that our online infrastructure allows to do that in a very smooth and in the variety of ways to join this structural and digital development in the city.
That's great. Is a startup based in Taiwan welcome to join the platform? I'm just asking for myself.
Well, good question. I think that you could try to visit this Moscow Electronic School platform and see. I haven't done that by myself, but as I heard, it is an open structure. But excuse me if I'm not very precise, but please try doing that.
Sure, no problem. I will check it out. Okay, great. Thank you. And now let's move to the second question. In most of your presentation, you emphasize the importance of data. And I think everybody agrees that data is critical in the digital era. And in order to realize digital governance in smart city, and how can we establish the data-driven ecosystem with cross-field data applications? As a city government, you have all sorts of data from transportation, from education, and also maybe from energy management, all sorts of data sources. How can we utilize this cross-field data application to create a data-driven ecosystem? Anyone would like to share your ideas or ongoing project about such kind of data-driven ecosystems? Maybe we start with Dr. Lu. Maybe you would like to share some of your opinions on this.
From inside to outside and from public to private is one of the core strategies of the Taipei Smart City Initiative. In terms of development, the data-driven ecosystem, in the future, Taipei City plans to utilize the Urban Intelligence Center as the core of the building the cross-domain and the cross-agency data view and the perspective. And through the cross-agency exchange and the data integration analysis, we seek to improve the application literacy of the government data and uncover the value of this data. Meanwhile, through the data collaboration between the public and the private sectors, and we hope to incorporate more private sector dynamics to speed the transformation and the optimizations of city government. While data application is important, data governance also requires us to consider issues such as the personal information protection and the data security. Only through the balanced strategy can we hope to achieve the society advanced and with the facilitator of technology.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to share how do you utilize those cross-field data applications? Sorry to call your names again, Mr. Yarosh, because you mentioned a lot of different projects in Rzeszów, starting with transportation, energy, education, even species preservation, the bee. I believe you collect all sorts of data. Have you ever come up with some idea to utilize this heterogeneous data for a more horizontal way of use this data instead of vertical? You know what I mean?
So different kind of data, how to use it efficiently, if I understand it correctly.
Yes.
I wanted to give a little bit different insight because we are now in the process of creation open data platform. And as I mentioned, not only providing the data is important, but also making a switch in the mentality that how to create this data. Because from the perspective of administration, we have a lot of data, which has been gathered for many years, which is gathering right now because we have old-fashioned data, I mean, paper documents, but we also have this modern system like pollution checking system, ICT, transport, public transport, medical data, which is gathering in the public systems. But the point is that we as administration should make this effort to choose this data, to prepare this data, and to give us this data outside with the congestible, that people can digest very easily, because overwhelming everybody with data is making the other is more worse than the better, because it's better to give a low amount of good quality data than a lot of data we have. So we are in the process of figuring out which data and how which data to provide and how this data should be gathered and presented in this open data, Rzeszów open data platform. And for example, using this data as an example is, for example, hackathon, which we made an open course for software developers that they were supposed to use public data from the spatial system. I mean, maps of kind of data about the area in the city, and with this public data we provided them. They were supposed to create. They were supposed to create, as I said, investors, a map for investors to use this data about the available space for investors, to create very nice tool to present this data for potential investors. So not only providing the data, but also, for example, motivate people to use this data to create solution for the city, because I'm talking from the perspective of the city. The data are open, so they can be used in the private goals as well as a public goals for us. That's why we try to present the data, provide the data, but also ask people to use the data for our purpose. We have also some needs as a city administration. So we try to figure it out. What is the most urgent goal we need to get? What tools we need to get with this data? How this data should be used? And we ask citizens in open calls to use this data to give us these tools.
Yeah, I think structured, right way of presentation of the data is very important. Because people said big data is big trash if you don't know how to use it. Yes. Mr. Gibson or Mr. Sokolov, any experience or any ideas? Yes, Mr. Gibson?
We, in Peterborough, we're at an early stage of creating that data ecosystem, and I think one of the main, well, there are several challenges. One of the main challenges is to build that data picture of a community, for example, which is essential if you want to design efficient public services to the right people at the right level. The problem we find in the UK, I think it's across the UK, is that data is held by many different organisations, and to build that comprehensive picture for the ecosystem, you need agreement from many organisations, health service, local government, business, central government, to build that picture. Because often, picking up points that have already been made, an incomplete picture can be a little dangerous, because you can make assumptions on that basis, but you might be missing something really critical. I think the open data, again, is a really good, some really good comments made on that, that overwhelming the public with data is counterproductive, in that unless people see things visually and they can select what they want to be presented with, it does become overwhelming and counterproductive. And I think there is the overarching issue around data privacy, which again in the UK, I think has stifled the production of some of the identity platforms that we talked about, the sort of things that are being launched in Taipei. We're quite a long way from that in the UK, and that there's a general consensus that people don't like the data being held and used and visible to several organisations, and so we've got quite a big cultural barrier, I think, to overcome for that ecosystem to work really well.
Yes, I think you raise a very important issue. The data owners of the city government belongs to different departments, and sometimes they have their own territory. Let me use the word territory, and they may not be allowed to share the data for different applications due to data privacy, maybe. So if you don't have a complete picture of those data, sometimes you may make a wrong assumption and then come up with the wrong services. And you also, since you noticed, since you raised the issues of data privacy, in Taiwan right now, we are using a systems, not Taipei Pass, okay, but another mechanism to record the contact information of different users, because we want to track down the COVID-19. So people leave the text message to a center, so that the center knows the footage, the tracks of different persons in different stores. And those data are very helpful to monitor the trace of the disease. However, it seems that police also find it a very useful tool to track down, the bad guys, and so which raise a serious data privacy issue. And when you want to use those data in different domains, you have to be very careful about that. Otherwise, it may, backfire to you, and then offset the original good purpose of those data. So I think that's very important, and that's the lesson we are learning in Taiwan and in Taipei right now. Yeah, very important issue. Thanks for bringing that out. Yeah. Okay, great. Anyone else? Okay. If not, let me thanks again for all of our honor speakers for your presentation and your opinion and experience sharing in this very short but very insightful plenary discussion. On behalf of this event, I would like to thank all of you again and all of the attendees online. Thanks again. Some of you are the newcomers to this export, and I would like to see all of you again maybe next year. Mr. Gibson, you have been here for many times. I hope to see you face to face, hopefully next year, and all of you, maybe we can see each other face to face next year. Thank you again. So I will give the floor back to Nico.
Thank you, Mr. Zhou. Thank you so much for moderating the discussion. And our deepest appreciation goes to all the delegates for joining us in today's CTalk session with your inspiring presentations and your patience. A friendly reminder that tomorrow at 7 a.m. Taipei time, we will be live streaming our last CTalk session of the year, and also on the topic of e-governance, drive the future agenda with new urban management. Once again, thank you all for participating in CTalk Online this year. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.